I got this, these, this, and this, all in one season. So the question is, did I notice a difference? Well, I'm here to break that down for you and tell you yes and no. Okay, well, I've watched someone else's video and they posed a question if a pair of binoculars actually made them a better hunter. And it made me think about all the things that I got, and I would love to share that experience with you. Some of it being amazing, felt the difference right away, and some of it being, I liked it and I'm glad I have some of it, but I don't think that it's a priority. So, to start off, let's go ahead and move right. The highest ticket item being a Swarovski pair of 15 by 56 SLCs. So first off, let me tell you that this is not something I intended to purchase. I always, for I don't know, maybe 10 years or so, have used a pair of Diamondback 12 by 50s. And so that was a Vortex brand, and I've used those binoculars. I still have them. I've never had to use the warranty. I've just tried to take good care of them, but they are beat up. And I found everything, all of the deer that I found, all of the animals that we hunted over the years during that time, those binoculars did great. So the question becomes, is a really expensive pair of binoculars worth it? And I would like to get into that, but first let me tell you that this was a cool experience with picking these up. Actually, it was my wife, so shout out to her. She surprised me. I had been telling her how long I just had been putting it off and waiting for years and years to be able to get a quality pair of optics. I knew from the beginning that I wanted to upgrade after just 2 years or so, but just didn't quite know which route to go and what to do. I had decided at one point to go for the UHDs, the Vortex, and I think I was going to go with the 18s. I can't remember now. But what ended up happening was they just had a deal on this particular set, and we originally went to go pick up those UHDs, or my wife did, and they ended up telling her they had them. She drove all the way over there. They didn't have them, so I don't know, they must have felt bad. So they made a deal. So that's why I got Swarovski. I've heard great things, and I really am not going to do a comparison. I'm not going to try to argue who's better, Swarovski or Vortex. I think Vortex's warranty wins hands down. I will just give you my honest review and what this has done for me, and that's really it. You can do all that other stuff on your own, but what I would say is that what I noticed with changing to this pair of binoculars, first off, was 100% edge-to-edge clarity. So something that I did not like with the Diamondbacks was the fact that I could see only out of the middle, and anything on the edge of my field of view was completely blurry. What I would have to do is I'd have to actually move and get over to that area and focus as that is the center point of my field of view in order to see any kind of details. And even then, that's the other thing that leads to the second point, is just that the details were noticeable. So does that make a difference? 100% that makes a difference. And when it was first light, I never really used to feel like I found anything. Thought maybe things weren't moving as much. When it comes to these binoculars, I 100% started find things right away. In low light conditions, I can catch movements easier. The details don't seem to come until later, but at least I'm seeing that one before I wasn't. So that is huge. That's a game changer. That makes a difference of finding something that maybe is only moving in those first couple bits of light. And then on top of that, you're also getting to see those details. So how many points does it have? Is it worth going after, when it's 1,500 yards away? I don't really use my spotting scope to confirm things. I use my 15 power binoculars, and if I can't tell that it's worth going after with 15 power binoculars, that's probably because it's not actually worth going after. I mean, if it's maybe 2.5 miles away, that's a little different, but usually by then the heat waves are so bad that you can't make a decision anyways. And that's how I feel. That's the experiences I've had. So, did this make a difference? Was it worth it? Yes, 100%. This was huge. This was a game changer. This made it to where I can see more and also glass longer. So love that. 100%. That was a great purchase. All right, next up is the EXO Mountain Pack K3 4800. So this is the K3 frame with the 4800 bag on there. So did this make a difference? Yes. Yes, actually this may have made a bigger difference for me than the binoculars. But the hard part is that I got several things at the same time, and it's hard to kind of tell the details there. So let me tell you why this made such a difference. I have never had a good pack before. In fact, you're going to hear the common theme is that I went from basically nothing all the way up to some of the things that I've always wanted, you know, the best of what I wanted to pick out at that time, what I thought would work for me. And that all really goes back to the fact that I have been waiting in my career for the point that I'm comfortable enough to be able to afford some of this stuff, and it just so happened it kind of was all at the same time. And so anyways, when it comes to the EXO pack, I don't regret that purchase whatsoever. That has been amazing. I went from not enjoying the hike, and I still necessarily don't enjoy that, but it's not as much of a burden. I can carry more than double the amount of weight. The way that the weight is distributed, the organization of the pack, and I'm not here to tell you it's better than Kafaru or better than Stone Glacier or better than all of these other packs, than Mystery Ranch. I just know that I went from a Walmart backpack that I purchased for less than $100 that had camo color on it and supposedly had some kind of plastic frame in there to this, and I don't even know how to describe the difference. I can put weight on this backpack and I can go 4 miles and it is much more manageable. There's not really any pain, just more fatigue obviously from trying that and going that's more on me, but the pack feels great. I love it. That has changed my desire to do more backcountry stuff. It has given me that ability. It's made it to where I don't care and I'll bring more stuff. And in fact, when I got started with filming, now I'm carrying 2 tripods. Is that the best way? No, I have some ideas for that in the future, but right now that's what I have and that's what I have to work with, and I can do it and I can manage it. And really, I have to say that that's because I got a good pack. So is that something I would recommend skimping out on? No. And this is just my opinion. Maybe you can pull off something different, but I'm really glad that I got that. I know it's super expensive. I know it's hard. And it's not fun, but I really don't plan on getting anything else. And for me, that's been a huge game changer. Next up is 2 things. Trekking poles and the crispy Nevada boots. So something about this, I have to say, and the reason why I show them together is because in 2020, I went on a Coos deer hunt. And I had a lot of really steep canyons. And where we shot that buck was a ways back there, but it was straight up and down. And I can't even describe to you the fatigue. Now, this might also tie into the pack because I was using that Walmart pack that was kind of cheap. Well, it was really cheap. I was suffering. I didn't enjoy it. I was miserable. It was actually like almost 100 degrees, maybe plus, because it's in October and super hot season. Well, I really was struggling, and I had 2 really good friends that I've hunted with for a long time, and they were just leaving me in the dust. They both had trekking poles and I didn't, and I felt like I was putting all that stress on my calves, and I also had a pair of boots that wasn't very stiff, so if I bent them like this, they would fold up like a taco right away. And I think, and I'm that fatigue just from wearing soft shoes like that and the soft boots that weren't as stiff, didn't have as much support, so anytime it was real steep, you're putting all that weight on your toes basically, and your muscles are just being overworked. So I made that upgrade at the same time. So this is where I can't really answer for you. I can just tell you that between the boots and the trekking poles and being able to carry more weight with a new pack, that has made a huge difference as well. I don't burn out as easy. I can go at least 3 times as far as I used to, if not farther, with less fatigue than I did before. I love the trekking poles. As you can see here, I do have that quick stick set up on there, so that also works as a pair of shooting sticks for me. So you just set them up right there, and then the rifle can rest. So that also is just another plus, but mostly just a function of helping to transfer that weight off of your legs and kind of allow your upper body to assist is a huge difference. I tell people it's a lot like the Stairmaster. So if you've ever used the Stairmaster, there's handrails. So if you try to go without using the handrails on the Stairmaster, it's much harder. And I would assume that that's the closest that I can get to describing what it's like going up and down steep country, steep loose stuff without using a trekking pole. It's more like the Stairmaster without the handrails. But you add the trekking poles in there, you can use that upper body to balance, to pull yourself up with each step, and it kind of helps spread that fatigue around a little bit. So definitely a plus. The combination of a sturdy pair of boots and the trekking poles made a huge difference. All right, now we have the slick carbon fiber, and I think this one is, let me read the model here for you. The carbon fiber 734. So did this make a huge difference? This was, out of everything, this was the least impactful. I would recommend that you wait on this if you only have enough funds to buy one of the other items we just talked about. This didn't make as much of a difference. It made a little bit. I like the setup. I really like this tripod. I like the knobs. I like the number of extensions there because it allows it to be more compact, which is nice because I slide it in that sleeve on my EXO pack, so it folds up in there. But I will say so overall, the carbon fiber tripod basically feels to me like it pretty much weighed as much as my aluminum tripod. I don't really notice any difference. In fact, I still carry both. So would I recommend upgrading right away? No, I don't think that's as important. One thing I will say though is actually not the tripod, but something that made a huge difference is actually this pan head. So this is a Manfrotto 128 RC is the model. I used a pistol grip. So somebody talked me into that a long time ago, and I used to use a pistol grip for a lot of the hunts that I used to do. And it just wasn't as accurate. And that didn't become as much of an issue until I got 15s. So when I started using 15s, pistol grip was horrible. I'd squeeze in that pistol grip and it's so much weight there that it was not near as sturdy. I couldn't pan. I used to be able to kind of just loosen them up and just slide it a little bit, and it just wasn't, it was too shaky. So a very smooth tripod, or not tripod, head has made a huge difference. So while the legs didn't make as much of a difference, I definitely, obviously, as everybody recommends, the pan head is the way to go when it comes to tripod heads. All right. Well, last up would be the marsupial bino case. So I actually got this later. I went on all the Idaho hunts, or the Idaho hunt with Jackson's buck first, and then continuing, and we got Rhett's buck. I went on it without this, and that actually showed me how valuable this is. So basically, when I was on the Idaho hunt, I'd have my 15s here, and I would make a stock, and I'd have them in my pack because I wanted to protect them. Maybe this is a positive to Vortex, but I don't want to even chance having them get damaged, so I do not leave them on the tripod whatsoever. So I take them off, put them in a case, put them in my pack, which is way back in there. Kind of it's inconvenient to have to get it out real fast. I didn't want to wear my 12s because just kind of not interested in doing that right now. Plus, I like the quality of these so much better. So I would just get somewhere, I'd put them up on a tripod, I'd start glassing, and then what I would find is that when we put on a stock and we're getting to a point where I think I should be able to see the buck, then I would pull out my binos, put on my tripod, look around, pan. Okay, it's not quite here. We have to go a little farther to see farther down in this cut, and I would have to move everything that I had with my binos now on my top of my tripod, and it just was clumsy and not working. So I knew right away that I needed to get a bino harness to be able to store that, and that's really made that difference. So when I am just convenience-wise putting on that stock, I can slide them in, slide them out. It works great. Right, so one of the things that I ran into is that when I was shopping around for bino harnesses that would work, I only had a few options. So I read a couple of reviews because of the size of the SLC 1556. It looked like I was down to one other brand. I can't remember the name of it now, or the marsupial. I'd heard a lot about the marsupial, so I decided to look into that. Read some reviews, and I actually read quite a few people saying that it didn't fit. So I was very worried. I watched a Go Hunt video. They talked about how it does fit. So I decided to show you guys real quick. So there are my binos inside of it. Obviously, there's plenty of clearance towards the top. Fits right over this part. Is this too loud? That's another thing they talked about. I don't know. My personal opinion, I've never had an issue with it, even if I let go of it. If I'm archery hunting and I'm really, really close, that might be something that I'm conscious of. So maybe that's something that you might care about. I personally don't. But anyways, if I pull out my binos, let me show you. That always typically happens when I'm pulling them out. I'll pull off one of the eye cups because of this little flange here against the top. But I have my covers on both sides, front and back, and it still slides in here no problem. So that's how easy it is for me to get these in and out. So granted, when I pull them out, sometimes it catches a little bit, but if I were to take those covers off and keep this a little cleaner on the inside, then that'd probably be one option. But what I like to do is I like to just keep the eye cups on the front. So I haven't had any issues. The marsupial bino case, the large size, fits these SLC 1556 no problem. So anyways, this has been a huge game changer. So would I say that this made me a better hunter? It just was very, very convenient. It was something that I knew right away with stocks and stuff that I would need somewhere to put those to be safer with them and to be more efficient. So do I recommend a bino harness in general? Yes, absolutely. It's a really great purchase. It's not as critical as other things like the binos and even the boots and stuff and the pack. All that stuff can kind of make more of an impact because it allows you to do more right away. This is more just like a management thing. Depending on what gear you're carrying, it's the next best option is what I'd say after that to purchase. So, well, after reviewing all of that, now the question is, did all these things make me a better hunter? To put that simply, I think I'm about the same as I've always been, but what it did was it made it to where I don't have to focus on what I'm doing as much as what I want to be doing. So the gear made it easier to go longer, farther, be more comfortable, which in turn allowed me to put all of my efforts focused on what I'm looking for. So yes, I did a lot more. I was more successful. I was more accomplished this year with finding and pursuing and all that kind of stuff and packing out. So in every single way, I have now been turned to the side that the right gear makes things a lot easier. Now, I know guys that pull it off without it, and that's fine. I used to do the same thing. You know, I never spent very much money on any of my stuff, but now that I have bought some of the things that I really liked, did it make a huge difference? All of it combined made an absolute huge difference, and I really, really have a different experience. You can still do it without it. That's totally fine. But I personally, after the experiences that I've had, would recommend investing in some of the more major key components there and then making do where you have to. But hope you guys enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun bringing this to you. Look forward to the next one. And if you have any topics or questions, let me know.